with a foul here on Diaz. What did you guys think genuinely when you saw it, Maka, as it happened?
Well, I thought it was no penalty. I really did. I know he sort of accidentally stands on his heel, but nobody appeals for it. The game carries on, and as they do in Europe, VAR suddenly start getting involved, and he stands on his heel, he slips a bit. It was a very scruffy decision, wasn't it, to give a penalty? I wouldn't have been particularly happy. I mean, it's great for Liverpool, of course it is, but if I was on the opposite end, I'd be distraught about it.
Yeah.
There was no doubt when he stepped up, though, that man. Yeah. Been quiet all evening, really, and then all of a sudden he steps up, continues his rich vein of form and scoring, scores the winning goal. It's like that's all he's there for. That's what he wants to do.
Was Donny van de Beek, I mean, he's unlucky there, but should he put himself in that position in the first place, Rio?
Yeah, maybe the only criticism is maybe a bit overzealous in terms of trying to get to the ball, because he didn't even get to the ball in the end either. He didn't touch the ball. But I'm like Maka. I just think that there's no real intention or intent to step on his ankle and take his boot off. And clumsy is probably the best word, maybe. He's given the referee an opportunity to make a decision, or VAR to get involved.
For VAR to get involved, mate. That was it, isn't it? I mean, you expect your midfielders to go to close down, but if you accidentally stand on an inch of his heel on the back, I mean, it's very, very unfortunate. It is with all respect, it's a contact game, and we see a lot more contact at corners and at free kicks, which go, unmentioned to. So I don't think it was a penalty, regardless of the result.
I agree.
Let's have a look at some of Girona's best moments. Rio, at times were you impressed with their performance?
Yeah, at times they showed it. This was a great opportunity, one of their best of the game. They blend probably the wrong person in that position to execute. But I thought they showed enough in the game that their manager, I think, will be taking a lot of positives from this. They're playing against probably the form side in Europe at the moment, and the game was a close game in that sense, especially in terms of the scoreline. But it wasn't like a game where sometimes you see a team who you would say, I wouldn't really bet on them to be a threat in the game. They caused opportunities where I'm sure Liverpool fans had their hearts in their mouths at moments in this game, and I think you have to take big credit for that. Look at this.
Yeah, this was really Danjuma, wasn't it? We've seen Danjuma, unfortunately, but we know the players, and we know a lot of the players because we've seen them in the Premier League. And Danjuma is, unfortunately, that's what he's known for. Hell of a talent, can beat people, can drop shoulders, but it's his final product, his end product lets him down, and that's what it did today. And Liverpool dominated the second half, really.
And you see a lot of these teams, the smaller teams, they're like backs against the wall, defend. Look at the stats there. They have many shots on goal, their opportunities. They were actually picking their moments within the game to be a threat. So I think, as I said, as the manager and as a team, I think they can take enormous credit from this game.
Mac, I know you've said in the past this season that you're not necessarily surprised that Arne Slot has done well and hit the ground running. But 6 out of 6 in the Champions League is, by anyone's standards, very
I thought this transition would be quite seamless, but I've been very, very surprised by the results, without a shadow of a doubt. Going away to Milan, I expect Bologna, of course, but Leipzig have always got a decent past. To go away and play the Leverkusens and the Madrids and beat them easily, that has been surprising. But I did think Liverpool would qualify out of this group. I had no qualms at all with the talent at their disposal. But I didn't expect them to be almost perfect as to where they're sitting now in the league, in the Champions League, and in the League Cup, which will come next week, won't it?
It is early doors, and I hate asking these kind of questions, but you have to when there's a superior record like Liverpool have got at the moment. Do they make themselves favourites for you, Rio, at the moment for the Champions League?
I think I always struggle with that at this stage. It's like form-wise right now, yes, they have to be the favourites, but the trophy isn't handed out right at this point. And the way that I think the makeup of a squad and a team, physically, mentally, and form-wise and momentum-wise, come March, April time will be very different to what we see now. So I think you kind of have to be a bit patient. They definitely have all the makeup and all the markings of a team that can be successful this season. But I think it's how you get into those areas of this season, form-wise and with your team physically really determines where you're going to be.
We've seen the best team around that we're going to watch in 5 minutes. Yeah. They've constantly struggled to get to the knockout phase. And as soon as February comes, it's like a switch is flicked in Madrid and they suddenly turn it on. So as much as they're struggling now and they're in 24th before tonight's games, and they've got a team who are top of Serie A who they're going to meet, they will still be one of the favourites, surprisingly, because of who they've got on the team and when they're ready to go, when the business end comes.
Just back to Liverpool as well. Look, we saw a bit of rotation tonight. We saw Alisson come back into the starting lineup as well, so they can build on that. And the criticism might be, compared to last season, towards the end of the season, they fell away a little bit, Liverpool, because they struggled with those kind of injuries. Is that the biggest threat to them this season?
Yeah, injuries are a threat to every single squad, and that's, you've got to try and manage that. But you need luck. I don't care, no matter who you are. Real Madrid talking about the most successful team in this competition, they would have needed luck at different points of the season with all those victories. And Liverpool will be no different. But you've got. I think when you can take breaks in a season like Liverpool have afforded themselves in the next 2 games here, you have to be wise with those opportunities to take breaks for players.
They've got Fulham next, who are a difficult team to beat. Just ask Arsenal. How do you see that one going?
Well, without Bassi, who's suspended, isn't he? And they are at home, so you'd have to fancy them at home, just to keep on rolling on. And then they've got a League Cup game. I think they've got Tottenham away, which would be difficult, but you just don't know what you're going to get with Tottenham. And then you've got the Christmas period, and if you're top at Christmas or top at New Year, there's certain statistics to say you can go far in this competition.
There are. All right, guys, more reaction to this game.